Well, well, well. I'm as surprised as anybody. $9:20. $9:20 on a Tuesday night. I've been sitting here. Great, now my stomach is gonna. As if on cue. My stomach's gonna start rumbling. That's fine. Hear that? Hi, Carter and Deadly Nightshade. Yeah. So it's April, right? Q1 in the books. Of a year that it doesn't seem like the year 2024 doesn't seem like it should even be here. And I know it's easy for people to say, seems like time is moving so fast, etc. It loses its efficacy. Like the words lose their meaning. Right? Hey, KJ. Quantum Torch. And more, yeah, very tiny can. Well, these are the cans I usually drink. Are they 10 ounce? Are they 10 ounce or are they 9 ounce? Oh, they're 7.5 ounce. I'd much rather have one 7. If I were to have a 12 ounce can, I would only drink about half of it anyway, because Coke is only good for about 10 minutes after you open it. Yeah, 2024. It's not been great. And I've had so much trouble being motivated to do anything. It's been difficult. Difficult in life, difficult personally, difficult professionally. Just difficult. Not a great year, I have to say, on balance. I'm looking over and seeing. So this is an Osmo. This is a little miniature drone cam on a handheld gimbal. I got this 7 or 8 years ago. And they've been, coming out with new versions since then. And a few months ago I got the Pocket 3, which is, we can switch to this camera, it's going to break the illusion. You're breaking the illusion. Your mother does not like you. You're exposing the secrets of the set. It does follow my head, which is kind of cool. Exposure's all weird. The golden skin tone returns. Hey, Amy. Hey, Kit. Are you tempting? Kit, are you tempting the last 3 quarters of 2024? Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Well, I do like this camera. Like they fixed a lot with this. And you plug in a USB to the back of it and it automatically becomes a webcam, which is a lovely little addition. But that's not why I'm here. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here because it's late. I'm having some trouble sleeping. Figured maybe some of you might be having some trouble sleeping. And I could bore you with some sort of ASMR-y rambling and practicing. Hey, Bronwyn Goulding. Bronwyn. Deadly Nightshade, 2020, what? The first year you've had 2 replaced knees. So you've had years where you've had a single replaced knee before? It's unfortunate. That stuff is all right around the corner for me. And I feel it. Like I feel, really for the first time, these sensations of that are not attributable to just like, oh well, the morning ick, No, this is what it feels like to be your age. Guess what? It's not getting any better. Anya, it's 2 a.m. for you. Yeah. So, it's been a crappy couple of months. And, I could brush my beard. I'm letting it go. I don't know if y'all can tell yet. It's in a transitory state. Same with my hair. I'm just letting it all go. Letting everything go. Everything's going. My weight, my hair, my beard, my ability to stand. So it feels good to grab on to a thing, at least for me. It feels good to be able to grab onto a thing that I can, say, work at and it improves. Now, forgive me, most people have probably heard me say this like 1,000 times. But I used to play classical guitar when I was young, and I severed 2 of the tendons in my right hand, these two fingers. And I cannot hyperextend them, and they're very weak still. I don't know if you can see the scar where, if you look at that, you can see like the tendon where they were attached. The scar tissue kind of grabs the skin there. And as a result of that, there was no YouTube. And essentially, I was kind of told like, well, you could be okay, but you're never going to be really good. And that was enough to stop me. Could argue that I wasn't very persistent. And that's on me. I own it. I wasn't. But then, later in life, I kind of came back around to it and was sort of going online and, seeing virtuosos who only play with PIM. these three fingers. So, comparatively recently, I started just practicing classical again. Mostly fun stuff. Not looking to do anything with it except see some improvement, right? Like if I feel like I'm making progress, that's enough for me. Well, yeah, I can do the Vulcan salute, but yeah. Let's see, I can also do that. Double jointed thumb. So anyway, that's one of the things that I've been doing that has given me some respite, I suppose. And I've played a bunch of videos here. I usually regret when I do that because I always like when I'm learning something, I want to play it. I have trouble waiting until I've got it down. And as a result, I play it, on a stream or something when I am only about halfway there. And then, a few months later, I look back on it and say, wow, why didn't I wait, just a couple more months? And, when I really had it down. And that's the case here, too. I'm working on a few pieces. And I don't have them completely down. But that's the beauty of ASMR is I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? If I played these at full speed, it wouldn't be good for going to sleep. I'm going to play them slower for your benefit. This is what I'm doing for you. So I'm going to play these pieces at a reduced tempo. Not because I can't play them at a much faster tempo if I wanted. But, for you, I'm gonna do it slow, with a lot of reverb to cover up the mistakes, make it kind of soundscapey. You can go to sleep to it. The things I do for you all. Unless anyone has any questions. I'm also taking questions. I haven't done like any videos. Like I can't get inspired, and I'm on the hook to do a couple of collaborations. I'm really worried about getting them done. I don't know if I can say one of them, but I can say the other one is GB ASMR is doing Shrek. And I'm going to be the big bad wolf. So, I mean, if that can't get me inspired to record, then, that's the end. With a good decade run. Let's see. Ania. Anya. I learn more through sheet music or from hearing? I really do both. I will hear first, and generally what I'll do is I'll listen until I know it by heart, obviously in my head. And before I look at any sheet music or tablature, I'll give it like a go, but just a couple days of seeing how I would play it, right? Where the positioning would be for me. And it's usually not that far off. And then I will watch, a bunch of different people play it and see their different approaches. And then, the usual, like separate it into chunks and learn it chunk by chunk, and then learn stitching the chunks together. Carter, the therapy session. I did so many therapy sessions. Not sure which one you're referring to, but it's good to know. Yeah, GB's great. GB's great. Like I really don't, whatever. People, like when she was kind enough to do a segment on double red doors. I did get a fair number of people who were just like, oh, he just likes her because she has so many subs or something like that. No, that's not true, man. She's sort of a trendsetter, and someone who could probably lead a cult if they wanted. And when you agree to be in a video of hers, you immediately get like a ream of spreadsheets. Very professional. So yeah, I have a lot of admiration for her. It has nothing to do with her subscriber count. Oh, Nightshade, you liked the Daniel Plainview. Yeah. Carter, oh yeah, no, I took that down. That's gone. Gone. For reasons. I should put it back up. My collaboration playlist had like 30 some odd videos in it, and now it has like 8. I've had to privatize all of them because the other persons who were part of those collaborations either decided they hated me and asked me to take them down, which of course I do, or the people became problematic and I did not want to be associated with them. It's tough. Difficult because, those are the ones you really put your heart into. A lot of work. Anyway, I don't want to complain about it. I just want to get to doing what I'm doing here. Ross Chapman, it's funny you say this because I was looking around all my props and I was thinking I need to do another, if not control video, another SCP video. Because I have all of these objects that are just bizarre. I would love to, I loved making that video because as a creative exercise, writing the sort of backstories of all these Nizinski's carnivorous dental implants and, the scapegoat and all these, creating backstories for these objects of power, was a fun challenge. I like doing stuff like that. I like writing within a framework like that. So it's funny that you say that because that is one of the things I've been thinking of. That I've been thinking of, Johnny, get your ASMR, just black and white, straight out of the Metallica 1 video. A few others. Wow, you're alone here, Quantum Torch. Wow. I tend to do things once and then I lose interest in them once I've done them once. It's hard for me to return to things. This thing, look, it's still following me. I love it. I love it. And of course, the technology behind that face tracking gimbal, I invested a bunch in getting a much larger gimbal a couple of years ago that could do the same thing using LiDAR. And now this little thing just does it all. Yeah, the Mr. Jefferson stuff. Yeah, I don't like doing that kind of material anymore. If I really had such a problem with it, I would take those videos down. I have taken down a couple of videos because they just seemed too much like kidnappy wish fulfillment. Mr. Jefferson, borderline for me, I suppose. That's funny. That Mr. Jefferson video, that first Mr. Jefferson video, was done in a 1-bedroom apartment. No, a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 kids, an infant and a toddler. So I would stay up, and that was like the dining room. I took the dining room. I took a wall in the corner, essentially like 2 walls of the dining room. I spent a day I spent much more than that, like making these mood boards and things similar to the things you saw in the Life is Strange game, and put them up in the dining room. It looked ridiculous. That was one of the situations where if I had a camera like this and I did that, everything would fall apart, immediately. Because it was only that one, you had to really, really get just that one angle for it to work. The second one I did in the basement. By that time we had moved into a house, had a basement to work in, so I worked in the basement. I recommend working in a basement if you can. I'm in a basement right now. Let's hear it for basements. Anyway, okay. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start getting into this a little bit. What I have is a 2 microphones set up here. The one I'm talking into now, and I have one that is guitar focused. Let's watch the view count go down as the jerk pulls out his guitar again. These strings are new. When I put on new classical guitar strings, I tend to keep them a good 1 or 2 steps below. Like that's probably a D minor. So let's turn on the guitar mic. A lot of reverb on that mic. Does that sound okay? I don't want, I'm going to get a little bit of reverb on my voice. It's mostly on this mic down here. Let me know if that sounds okay. Deanne Jordan. Oh, I'm hearing some radio interference. First time here live. I'm a huge fan. Thank you. As a professor, I really appreciate your depth of perception and wide-ranging knowledge. That's fake. But thank you for saying it. Yeah, basement for lots of reasons. Mostly because I can put a set up here in the basement and just leave it for as long as I need to. Hey, Anna. Okay. So, I'm working on a couple of things. One is a very intense tremolo piece. It's called Recuerdos de la Alhambra. One thing about reverb is, it gives you some extra sustain, but you make a mistake and it, kind of like delay, will emphasize that mistake. So another piece that I'm working on is, it's actually 3 pieces. So that was, Recuerdos de la Alhambra, that's Targa. This is the cathedral, La Catedral. I feel ridiculous pronouncing it like that. But there's 3 pieces, 3 parts of it. And this beginning, this first part is, I haven't learned that yet. It's not a very difficult part. I wanted to get the most difficult part down first, and be able to come back and knock out the other parts. So it's really the difficult parts that I'm doing. This is not it. You're muted. Now you're only hearing the guitar mic. And the vocal mic is back. So there's a few parts there that are difficult for me because of these two fingers when it's going I really should be playing that with my ring finger. It's very difficult for me to do that. end up playing it with these two old reliables. Even there, I'm doing some trickery that I shouldn't be doing. I really should be learning these things the right way and just sticking with it until this finger decides to actually get as strong as it needs to be. But I'm impatient, and I just have to sit there doing that every day. But one of the things that stood out to me was how similar this sounds to Libertango. Very, very similar, that Andalusian descending thing, you know. Also, Libertango has a lot of open strings, so this is pretty slack for that. And then for recuerdos, I should be playing that. For the tremolo, I should be playing. Can't do that for the life of me. I have to just use these two fingers. It's really hard to get that to not sound stuttery. It sounds so smooth when people do it with like three fingers like this. But I don't have the strength to do that. I have to go. And there are people who at the professional level who play it like that, but I'm not there. Obviously. Also, the more repertoire I go through, the more I notice how many of these pieces end with something very similar to maybe with a or at the end. That's next. So anyway, those are the two main pieces that I'm working on now is La Catedral and Recuerdos. So, give me another 2 months for the Cathedral and probably another 2 years for Recuerdos. Seriously. It'll probably be 2 years before I think I can play that tremolo with 2 fingers with that kind of cadence. It's just It is interesting to me, like when I go back to things like how sort of comparatively, I guess, technically easy it is, and yet how beautiful it is. Even I remember like thinking I was never going to be able to play. I just thought I was never going to be able to pull that off, and it's pretty easy. Now, I mean, I've played it so much that the muscle memory, I guess, takes over. It's not easy. For some people, for Jacob Collier, it's probably very easy. That's kind of attitude. That's not very sleepy, though, is it? worth running late. So much to give before the ending will make. Hold my hands and raise them for me. Spin me up and inside. I'm not drunk, just dizzy, darling. I'm looking for a ride. Just trying to keep what I find. And that is the same song that I was working on a year ago. Still haven't finished it. That's something else that I was working on, was trying to write a song as simple a song as possible. Like a really, really simple song, like using kind of like that Andalusian. See if I. Oh, there go my earphones. Using that Andalusian progression and seeing how easy I could make it. Oh, wow. Deanne Jordan. Well, you know, poetry is arguably the most, or one of the most bare art forms, one of the most sort of courageous art forms, right? Because in a way, when you're doing a song, you're kind of covering things up with lots of, you have the shield of a guitar or a piano going along with your voice, going along with the words, and all that stuff together. That's super sweet, and so that's like the simplest chord progression. Just so I was trying to make something out of that in the last week or so as a challenge to myself. There's nothing more that we can do. The bridge just carries you between the branches, and not a lot that we can say, but nothing gold will stay and loses its luster. Each day we waste waiting. It's not true. Sun's glow on wet snow. It's just breathing while you're drowning. It's a lie. There's no God. You were blinded from the day you learned who believe this world is a thief. That's kind of weird. Thief, telling angel to protect you from grief. So that's something that I've been doing maybe the last 2 weeks. But trying not to overcomplicate it, because especially like in that chorus, the sun's glow on wet snow is just burning while you're drowning. It's not true. There's no God. You were lied to from the day you learned to believe. This life is a thief. This life is a thief. Borrowing. Oh man. Borrowing hope. Borrowing hope to pertain you with grief. Ooh, that could work. From grief. Borrowing hope to protect you from grief. Oh, now I'm getting away from the super simple. There's got to be a good tale for that chorus that I haven't found yet. Oh God, you were blinded from the day you learned to believe. This world is a thief. I'm not gonna do it here, but yeah, that's the stuff that I've been working on that I feel like I've made some progress on. And I like to kind of jump back and forth between them, right? Like learning a classical or flamenco piece and going back to something that, I'm just sort of working on myself. Oh, Charlie, that's sweet. Thank you. I mean, that's probably gonna regret doing this tomorrow. It is difficult to kind of lay yourself out like that. 3:30. Oh my gosh. Bob, I've been struggling with belief for a while. Prefer a materialist point of view. Living well is not compatible with non-belief. Yeah, you can't choose to believe, right? This is what I often hear is I often hear that you can choose to believe, right? And to me, that is self-delusion. I don't think you can really fake it till you make it in that situation. Have I written any songs for the baby? I play a lot of songs for the baby. A lot of Paul Simon. That song that I was just playing, you probably had some in there, but it's pretty negative. Not not really a message I want to inject into his little brain. Charlie, I don't have a Bandcamp or anything like that. Mostly because I never finish anything. And so I have lots of stuff that's 3/4 done and just kind of sitting there. And that's the way it is. But, I mean, just coming here and hanging out is support, you know. Yeah, Deanna, I love that idea too, but it is ultimately futile. It's a losing battle. It could be argued. I'm not making this argument. I'm just saying that it could be argued that an early exposure to grief is beneficial as a bulwark against future grief. Don't tell social services. You see those loops that happen, right? Like you have, so I just recently watched Quiet on the Set, which is that expose documentary on Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon. And it is odd that, I'm sure, I don't know that there's any data to back this up, and I'm not claiming that there is, but when you see these things that are essentially, children with idyllic childhoods, it's not a foregone conclusion that they're going to grow up to provide idyllic childhoods for their kids. And I think it's the older school of thinking that violence begets violence, and that if you are abused as a child, you're going to grow up to be an abuser. I don't know, man. I mean, this is anecdotal, right? But like my dad never was not the type of person who would say, "I love you," right? And I'm make sure that I say that all the time to my son for that reason, right? And if he had, maybe I wouldn't be that type of person. But man, Quiet on the Set, that was, I was too old for what was going on, to it's not like I watched all that. I watched the precursor to all that, which was called You Can't Do That on Television. It's a Canadian show that really, like, all that just kind of stole everything about it. The slime, the format, all that is really just like American. You can't do that on television. And you can't do that on television brought us Alanis Morissette. How do I get the chat messages to pop up on screen? That is Ecamm. That is the software that I'm using. Allows me to do that. And allows me to scale it. All kinds of stuff. It's good software. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, and I think that's the typical cycle is victims of abuse become abusers. I guess what I'm suggesting is that the data to the contrary. But I don't know, early days. But man, Quiet on the Set was pretty horrible to watch. Like there was shit that was happening. I thought it was an expose on Dan Schneider. And really, like the stuff that Dan Schneider did, or that's come to light that Dan Schneider did, seemed he was just more of a piece of shit, as opposed to like was it Josh Peck, some of the other people that were on the set at that time who were just terrible, terrible people. Child acting is just not a good idea, right? The software is called Ecamm. Mia, bro, that's what you're scared about, growing up to be an abuser because of child. Well, don't do it. Don't do it. Do not pay it forward. Let it die with you. Right? It's just been like, it's a very weird, like, I don't think it would be I don't think you'd be excused by saying, for instance, right, like corporal punishment, okay? I don't really think it was pretty prevalent when I was a kid, even in institutions. Pepper under the tongue, hitting you with a plank of wood, throwing erasers at you. Like, I had so many erasers thrown at me by teachers. Wow, that shit would not fly. And it wasn't that long ago, right? And it was this. I went to fucking private schools. I can't imagine. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I think primarily it seemed like it was focused on Josh Peck, the dialogue coach, who just destroyed. See, it's very weird because I found myself watching that and I had no idea who Zach and wait, fuck, because I get these two shows. I get the Disney shows and the Nickelodeon shows confused. There's Zach and Cody. Zach and Cody, is that Nickelodeon or is that Disney? I think that's Nickelodeon. Zach was the one who came forward, the most high profile one who came forward being abused. And you know, he was talking about his abuse for quite a long time. And I was, you know, obviously extremely sympathetic. And then like right near the end in the last episode, they were like, oh, and by the way, no, not Zach, Drake Sather. Was the show called Zach and Drake? I don't know what the hell the damn show was called, but it's Drake and Josh. That's it. Thank you, Mia. Yeah. And then like right at the last episode, they said that Drake had been accused of being inappropriate with underage kids, which sort of like cast a whole different light on his testimony for me. Sort of like, I don't know, it made it feel like, I don't doubt what he said. I believe that it was all true. But I feel like maybe him coming forward might have been partially motivated to get sympathy for the crimes he committed by paying it forward, as it were. I don't know. It just made me feel icky. The whole thing made me feel icky. Yeah, the broad plastic ore, but they, you know, they drill holes in the wood or the ore or the cricket bat or whatever the hell that thing was. So there's less air resistance. Get a better thwack. I can't believe it. Yeah, Drake and Josh. What is Zach? Sweet Life with Zach and Cody. That's the Disney one. Okay. decline of corporal punishment. It's one of the few things that gives you hope. Yeah. Everything's a circle, right? I feel like we're going to come back around to eventually being like, well, maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Putting a little fear of God in these little MFers. There's not a lot. There's not a lot out there giving me hope. Yeah, but it does makes it hard for me to even watch like movies with kids in it now. Like I think back on this movie that I loved as a kid, called Bugsy. And it was essentially like imagine like a 40s organized crime comedy caper movie where everyone's a kid. All the actors are kids. And they're shooting cream pies out of guns instead of bullets. It makes me look back on that and be like, oh, what was I? Even having cream pies and guns. I don't know. Just everything feels tainted. There's nothing pure anymore. There's nothing pure anymore. Alas, alack. What do we do with that? Hi, Duckneck. I think "Whoa, man" is a pretty good response. Okay. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Having, like, nobody, there's always a reason. Having a reason for doing something awful does not absolve you in any way, in my opinion. But I mean, people go through shit and then they come out broken. It does, I think, suggest, like, what it comes down to is, like, how do we deal with it, right? What's the punishment, right? Is there absolution? Is there a path back? Are these actions that can be fixed? Like, is there a remediation? Or is it just like no, that person's broken, for life? And, I don't believe in incarceration for anything other than immediate danger to the public. I'm not a big believer in incarceration as punishing somebody. I think the data on recidivism kind of bears that out. And the industrial complex for jails is so corrupt that it's pretty abhorrent, and the way we do cash bail. And I mean, look at Trump. Trump's still on the street. How the fuck can that guy still be on the street? How is he not even just like, how is he running for president? How is he still a free person? I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Well, I mean, I do. Money and influence. I mean, when you got to seat 3 Supreme Court justices, I guess that gives you a little pull. I don't know if people remember, like a year ago, people were wondering if he was going to run again. He was being coy about it. Thought he might be the kingmaker, but not the king. Are you fucking kidding me? That guy. Give him any power at all, he's going to never let go of it. Go down kicking and screaming. what's weird is like it feels like he can never die. Like that amount of evil and the infrastructure to support that evil and the number of people who want him to continue existing will somehow, through sheer forcefulness of will and or a lot of medication or I don't know what, will keep him alive. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry here, Jacob. I meant to just play some music and then dip. All politicians suck. Yep. But Trump is an existential danger, and you should vote for Joe Biden. And then hope that, come 2028, there's somebody has to fucking step up. Yeah, and I don't know that. But I don't know that this is something that's gonna. I don't know. This is something that's gonna work against him. Kind of like the circle when we were just talking about corporal punishment. There is this kind of, well, maybe what we need is a little bit of a dictator, right? He's gonna kick ass and take names, and to some extent, those people would just be concerned with swearing fealty enough so that they imagine that he would have some kind of reciprocity there, but that's not the way he's built. He doesn't give a fuck. The moment that it becomes at all favorable for him to throw you under the bus, you're going to be under the bus before you even realize it. Yeah, look, I mean, it'd be difficult to imagine a worse matchup than the one that we have before us this year. But who knows? Who knows? The thing about Biden for me that allows me to still want to vote for him is actually, strangely enough, in part some of his mental incompetence. Because a lot of his decisions, I believe, are made by committee, right? Which is, all in all, probably a better way of making decisions than to just have one guy who can say, no, I want it my way, or woman, or whatever, human. Bob, if you're not voting for Biden, then you're voting for Trump. This is worrisome. That's worrisome. Because if the turnout is low, historically we know like low turnouts favor the Republican candidate. Actually, so I don't know the exact data, but I do know that usually low turnouts favor Republicans, but also they usually favor incumbents. So maybe that balances out. I have no idea. The guy, tweeted out an image of Joe Biden tied up in the back of a truck and essentially got like praised for it. It's funny now that I just remember back when the Grab Him by the Pussy audio was released. And I was like, well, that's it for him. I was like, oh, okay, Trump's gone. He said some locker room talk, and the stuff that he's done since then just makes that seem quaint and cute by comparison. Like, please give us a politician who that's the worst of their hot mic faux pas. So, okay, so Biden supports reinstating Roe v. Wade. How does that happen at the federal level? Like, what is the process for that? Because the Supreme Court is never going to go along with that. So would that be an executive order? I don't know. I don't know what the political process is that would allow Biden to just say Roe v. Wade is back. Or would it just be like a series of mitigating laws that would sort of, make, it wouldn't actually be Roe v. Wade. It would be a bunch of other things that would make abortion more accessible. Yeah, but Anna, like everything has been falling apart. It's been falling apart pre-COVID. How much more falling apart can we take? Inflation is ridiculous. Oh, okay, so it need to be voted Congress and Senate. I don't know what the overruling process is there. Seems unlikely, though. That seems like, first of all, promising it, sure. What's his motivation once he's in office? It's not like he's going to run a third time. What's Biden going to prioritize when he's in office? His legacy, I guess, maybe legacy reasons. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. There's no way that happens. Anyway, so yeah, this got really, really off track, right? It makes me wonder. When I was doing the weekly thing, I was I was much more up on current affairs than I am now. And certainly would be able to speak to some of this stuff a lot better than I can now, which is essentially burying my head in the sand. And learning to play guitar pieces. Makes me wonder, maybe that's something that I want to do again. I don't know if I have the time to make the commitment. But it is an election year. I got to think about that. It could make... was it Rami Youssef had a interesting monologue on SNL where he said Free Palestine, and Studio 8H erupted in applause. Risky. It's a risky thing. Could have gone either way, right? And then you saw, I think if you watch his monologue, you can see him getting a little emboldened by the applause and doubling down a little bit on it, which was, whatever. It's nice to see, I think. Why did I bring him up? I brought him up for a reason. Oh, he has a joke about like, oh, wait, is this on me? Right? And it's on all of us, right? It's on every one of us. What the swing states in play You know what? No, I'm not doing this. I might do this, but I'm not doing it now. I'm not going to talk about it now. Let's see, what can I talk about that's non-political? Movies I've watched recently? Holdovers? Alexander Payne. I'm an Alexander Payne fan. I have not yet seen Late Night with the Devil. I really want to see it. In spite of it having some AI art, apparently. No, it's weird. Like, I've been rewatching things for comfort. I've been doing things for comfort and not for any sort of expansion or learning or staying on top of anything current. It's just been, what do I find comforting? My iconic eyebrow raised to camera. I feel a little weird about that. I mean, any one of my thumbnails, like, I pretty much always grab a screenshot where I'm doing that. But there it is. And I can only do that side. I can't do this side. It just looks weird. Can't do it. But I can do that, and I can just keep it like that forever. It does really sort of define the 11s there, huh? Icky. Oh, Unkind is one that I've finished. That's really old. Or at least the germ of that song is really old. I mean, like 20 years old. Hi, Caitlin. Favorite fantasy sci-fi setting? I feel like there's more than one answer to that question, right? Because if we're talking about the setting that I think has the most interesting, compelling world building versus the look, I'm a sucker. I am a sucker for post apocalyptic. I just am. That's what I love. That's what I want. That's what I don't want to live there, but, in some sort of virtual form, that's what I want to, that's what I want to explore. That's where I want to be in my video games. The new Fallout looks horrible. I mean, it looks like they took, it's like they polished it to like this high gloss. And I understand maybe they were trying to go for this sort of Mr. Handy look. I don't know. It's got Walton Goggins in it, so maybe. But anyway, let me favorite fantasy sci-fi setting specifically. It's hard. It's hard to top. There's Discworld. There's Hitchhikers. Although that's Hitchhikers is probably doesn't really count. Dune. But I feel like Dune. I'm also a sucker for cyberpunk, so shit, man. Neuromancer. I do love Tolkien, but you know, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna say Lord of the Rings here. I guess I you know, I've spent my entire life uh, in some form of that sort of high fantasy setting in some form or another. It's lost its luster for me. I've started playing Dragon's Dogma 2 and it was just like another fucking medieval high fantasy world. Oh, shit. So boring. I much prefer, like, I thought Fallout 4 was great. I like 40K, yeah. Yeah, Neuromancer, Snow Crash, you know, the cyber staples, Blade Runner, Android's Dream of Electricity. There you go. Actually, you know what? Any of Philip K. Dick's latter day novels. I'm talking Ubik, Transmigration of Timothy Arthur. Um, oh my God, I'm forgetting the names of some of the other ones. Ubik. He did a trilogy, Valis. I love those. So Valis, Transmigration of Timothy Arthur, and Ubik. And there might be one or two more there. That's a world dreamt up by an actual madman, someone who was dexedrined out of his skull. And it probably doesn't make any kind of like contiguous sense. But man, that would be interesting to explore. Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Some of Highland stuff. I do like the retro sci-fi, retro futurism, I guess it's called. You want to play Red Dead, but you don't have any more space in your PS5. There is a solution for that. You know, just delete. Delete. I'm going to say. I mean, Red Dead Redemption is huge. Considering like how old it is, freaking huge. Delete Cyberpunk 2077 for Red Dead Redemption. Oh, Transmetropolitan. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, big fan of that as well. Junji Ito stuff, right? That would be an interesting world. But yeah, Spider. Okay, everybody, I'm gonna call it. It's getting late, and it's nice hanging out. It's been a while. I really appreciate everybody hanging out. I'm gonna try and do it more often, but I feel like I say that a lot, and I don't do it. But I'm really gonna try. I might go back to the Beyond the Double Red Doors channel for that. We'll see. I love you all. Hope you have a pleasant evening. And I'll see or talk to you soon.